Hi, friends.
Hi, friends.
So, first of all, my name is Steffi. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, thank you so much for being an amazing listener and friend and everything that you are. That little number that you are on my screen makes me really happy. And I know that there's a person behind it.
That number
so
is a human being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm here with my co-host, May June.
May, June. Like May, June, July.
And just super quickly, May June is a Chinese Jamaican art director, professional table tennis player, chicken and rice lover, dog dad and dadager, and an amazing human being all around.
Thank you. Wow. That's you should be like my PR agent.
I am.
Yes, you are actually.
Excuse me? Who do you think is managing? Oh, we need to register that.
Okay.
I should bleep that.
You will delete that.
No, I'll bleep it. Yeah, and I'm Steffi. Hi, I am, and that's Guillermo. You can hear him. Wait, let me see. Let's put the mic on him. I'm vlogging this today as well, so if you follow us on Instagram, Guillermo. He's such a psycho. He's very opinionated.
He's our protector.
Yeah. So, welcome to this meeting. Welcome to this Take 3 Talks episode. And yeah, I'm really excited for this episode.
Yeah, what are we going to be talking about today?
So today,
because I have no idea.
Guillermo, yeah, ven.
Guillermo, come here. Guillermo, come to mommy.
Okay, sorry. We had to go deal a little bit of a dog mommy and dog daddy situation with our very opinionated dog son. Dog child. So, hi, welcome back to Take 3 Talks, our episode where we're going to talk about Take 3 Uni. We're going to talk about how we started Take 3 Uni, but more than just like how we started Take 3 Uni, I want this to be a very candid, a very candid, honest little conversation ramble. So I'm going to actually open what I call Pandora's box today, because I found some gems in like the archives of our lives in our Google Drive, and it was amazing to see the stuff that we wrote in 2019, I think. And so yeah, welcome to this episode. Welcome to Take 3 Talks, to talking about Take 3 Uni and a little bit of going deeper into our creative business side of things, and just getting candid with that story.
You mean the creative education side of things, or
no, like
overall?
Like, I think this episode is going to be like telling them the story of the like creative business and that leads to the creative education side. So because I think that so in the last episode we talked a little bit about Take 3 Studio. Right. You know, we talked about just gave like a high level conversation on Take 3 Studio, our firstborn, you know. I don't want this to become about Take 3 Studio, but for example, like I have the first prompt that I have, like the way that I have made this is for us to kind of go through the nostalgia and start talking about it, and then we'll go into some thought starters, and then we'll go into some questions that people made, and then we'll close it. And then so first, when I was looking at this, I was like, how wild is it that when we tell our stories, like we tell it in like a yearly basis. Like we're like, oh, those 4 years were this thing. Those 4 years were this thing. Those 4 years were this thing. And it's like we bucket our lives into these like periods. And when you look back and you read at the things that we used to write and that we wrote to create this business, like it's just so like nostalgic almost, and almost weird in a way, how we totally like disregarded like what happened before 2011. You know, it's like every time we write it, it's like we write it. So basically our lives started in 2011. And now that we're here in Take 3 Studio and that we are meeting people in person, we're like, Oh, hi. Yeah, our life started in 2019 when the pandemic hit and our studio started.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like we almost always bucket ourselves into these like year time frames of sorts in order
Like a
to tell our
timeline.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're always having to make bios of you and I, or you by yourself, or me by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since like starting college, like you have to write about yourself to apply to school. No.
Yeah, we're always in that mode of like kind of documenting ourselves in a way, and how do we best portray that to people, or how do we best tell that story? And and I think sometimes by doing that we kind of like as you said, bucket things into this timeline, and I don't know, it's like we forget that there's a lot more to it than that sometimes too.
Yeah,
Like when
like
you
so much more context.
there's so much more context. I remember I don't know if I'm jumping like ahead here, but I remember, because this kind of reminds me, because we're doing nostalgia.
Yeah.
This reminds me of the time we were walking Guillermo in Bed-Stuy
Mm-hmm.
when we were living at 756 Myrtle.
Mm-hmm.
We were walking, and it was, I think, a few months before we were actually leaving New York, and we were kind of contemplating or ideating what this business is, or what our lives are going to be when we left New York.
Yeah,
And
that cold morning, and we were walking.
I had my phone.
With your phone.
I had my phone, and we couldn't write and walk at the same time, so I had the voice.
You recorded the conversation.
No, it was I told Siri to translate my audio into text.
Really?
Yeah, we had to do that because I couldn't write. So I did that, and we wrote all the things that we wanted to create, about how we wanted Take Three to be this collaborative.
That's what we were doing last podcast. We were going through the letters.
We're going through all the letters. I think we can bring that up in this. I think it's perfect for this recording, but I was not referring to that.
Yeah, continue.
But I'm glad you brought that up.
It was in a similar scenario.
It was a similar scenario. It was a similar.
But it was more like
general
stream of consciousness.
Exactly. We were just word vomiting.
We didn't have like a plan of, okay, we're gonna write something.
No.
When we wrote this notes that I just pulled up, we had like a plan.
Yeah.
This was like way before. Like when I had just basically like quote unquote come out to you and be like, I'm really not happy. It's either me or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. And then when we decided like, okay, let's do this. Like, what does it look like?
What is stream of consciousness?
Yeah. What do we want to create? And we were talking about how we wanted to create something that was a collaborative space for people, for creatives to live and be comfortable with the uncomfortable, and having conversations, and uplifting each other. And we wanted to create a freelance studio that has no geographic location, and you know, that talks about our nomadic, you know, our wants to be like digital nomads. And
it'd be cool if we did like an episode where we, like a very niche episode where we read through these and like analyze them. Like we're like, oh my god, like here, like this nomadic lifestyle, like kind of what does it mean to what's become?
Right.
Like it would be fun to divert, like really just go in knee deep, like really funny, like, and like make it into a drinking game or something, or like a funny like dare game or something, and go through how many times we like say the same shit over and over and how many docs.
That's
you know?
funny. Yeah, kind of
because we're always like, you know how people say like manifesting and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we don't really do that, but we just write all of our thoughts down. And I feel like when you write things down, they become like possible, and they become part of your like stream of consciousness in your life.
Absolutely. It's like when we put it down on paper, we're like, that's our way of manifesting like what we really want to do. And
even the landing pages workshop that I just did for Take Three Uni members, like I had this idea last year, October 12th, literally, oh my gosh, yesterday, a year ago, I was writing about this workshop that I wanted to release in 1 week, and I'm like, why am I putting myself into timelines that like are not even realistic? And then a year into it, you're like, wow, like thank you, Steffi from 2020. Like I did all the work and I just put it into pretty mode.
Yeah, that's
and
the power.
That's cool.
That's the beautiful thing, and that's the power of putting things down on paper.
Yes.
Like, and don't just leave it up to and don't just leave it up to like whatever, you know.
Yeah, even when you are really good at writing you just like regular thoughts out.
Oh my god, yeah. I just talked to you about this yesterday, how you know, I literally like I can't go to sleep unless I kind of jot my thoughts or whatever I have in my mind down on digital paper or physical paper. Because my mind is so busy with things.
I remember when we were in college, you used to have this really cute itty bitty notebook that you used to always have in your pocket. And then you used to carry it in your front pocket of those tight ass jeans you used to wear. And it was that little white.
It was an in thing. Yeah.
But it used to write all your thoughts down in the little notebook, remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, how do you even have you write so small? Like, my notebooks are so big and like your handwriting's so small. Remember that?
Yeah. I like to take advantage of and utilize space.
Yeah,
so
I think you're great. You're great at that. So yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about time and how we like bucket it. And I guess I wanted to go and bring some people into some of these buckets of thoughts that we had. And, you know, I screenshotted actually the length of these documents, and some of them, you know how I have like the length screen capture, some of them were so long that they like took like two pictures, like two documents. It was insane. I have it actually Zoom recorded, so I'm gonna post it on the Instagram vlog so people will be able to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's just like so funny how we're so like aggressive. I feel like in like how we wrote things, like we have like final draft, outline, script, this, that, and it's like, wow. So I would just like to read a little bit of this.
Okay.
This is the final draft, and this is kind of introduces the Take 3 Uni and what we came Take 3 Uni.
Or what Take 3 Uni is
now. So this was the document. It's called Patreon About, and it's titled Final Draft. And this is something we wrote in the middle of the pandemic. I believe it was like June, like late May, June.
Yeah.
And that's when it like the height of like digital boom, whatever. And everybody in Ecuador, and like we were still all in quarantine. Like the world was quarantined. Remember that, you know, like that's before the Ecuador, like the world quote unquote opened up. So we were like knee deep into like how can we pivot our business almost, and how can we creatively fulfill ourselves. And there's a question that I wanted us to talk about later on, and I can kind of give that to you, that is like what were the gaps that we were trying to fill with Take 3 Uni, not just like in the market but also like the itch we were trying to scratch. So I'll leave you with that question to ponder on.
Okay.
While I kind of read some of the really funny 2020 Stephanie Mayjun write up. Hi, I'm Steffi. I'm a podcast and Pinterest addict, a recipe rebel, and a die-hard graphic designer. I was born and raised in Ecuador.
Hello, I'm May June, like May, June, July. My overused icebreaker and I was born in China, but raised in the beautiful island of Jamaica. I'm an art director, professional table tennis player, and I love chicken and rice. I can't believe I wrote that. Together, we're the creatives behind Take 3.
Aren't we forgetting someone?
Oh, of course. And this is Guillermo, our chief marketing officer.
He's a Jack Russell Jinto mix rescued from the Korean meat farm and the brains behind the operation. After living, studying, and working in New York for over 8 years, it started to take a toll on us and our creativity.
With the amazing education from Pratt Institute and the invaluable experience working in both small shops and big ad agencies, we felt like it was time for something different. We did the unthinkable. We quit our jobs, gave up our visas, and moved all the way to Ecuador to give ourselves another shot at a more meaningful creative life.
That's when Take 3 was born, our freelance creative studio, founded to tell stories. We're grateful our business is thriving, and that we've been able to work with clients we believe in and that believe in us.
But we want more.
We want to do more. We want to make our skill sets and services more accessible to people, and that's why we're here on Patreon.
We've created a collaborative space where we'll share everything we've learned, offer guidance to creative students, help out even more small businesses, and connect with other creativepreneurs.
With your monthly membership, you'll have live one-on-ones with us and group Q&As, as well as hear from other industry professionals.
We'll also share creative resources, useful tools, tips, and tricks, bring you into our creative process, and maybe even collaborate on projects together.
So whether you're a student seeking creative advice, a small business in need of creative support, or a creative who's simply tired of doing it all alone, we're here for you. join our Patreon,
and enjoy the ride.
Wow.
That was our little skit for the video.
Welcome back to 2021.
Crazy.
So it's insane. I think I just wanted to take you to time travel before to just brush up your memory. And then we have another doc called Patreon Tiers. The 3 tiers that we had were lonely designer, creative mentee, and small business owner.
Oh wow! So we created 3 personalities and 3 quote unquote customer profiles.
There's so many iterations of it. You have no idea. And so many like write-ups. It's 18 pages long.
Wow.
So yeah, I think, and we even have like people that we quoted here and like example of who do we think would be great that we know of. And it's just so much work. And I love this. So thank you for opening Pandora's box and going on these like diverging tangents with me.
Yeah.
I think it's so beautiful to see how much work we put in, how serious we take ourselves. And I think coming back to the connection of last week's podcast, just the idea of really taking yourself seriously has helped us so much. I have a specific thought starter that I want you to rapid firely answer, since it's kind of like the summary of what we just heard as like, the nostalgia. So where were we in our journey with Take 3 Studio when the idea of Take 3 Uni, of what became Take 3 Uni, like started? Like where were we mentally with our business? Like, and then we can connect this with the next one that was like what itch were we trying to fulfill, at least from your opinion, when we created what did then become Take 3 Uni.
Okay. Let me gather all of my thoughts. I think those are 2 very like deep questions, because I think that we probably both have our own answers, but from my take of it, where we were at in terms of our Take 3 studio, like the creative studio side of Take 3, I believe we were in the midst of juggling like maybe 10 to 15 projects per person. And
what date was it?
I believe this was the first or second quarter of 2020. We were living in an Airbnb in Quito. Yeah, in Kaidan. We were living there, and we were just like working our asses off because we had.
But I feel like it was like May.
You thought it was? Yeah, I think that's the second quarter.
Oh yeah, that's the second quarter.
Second quarter, yeah.
Okay, yeah, May, yeah.
So around that time, I don't remember exactly the days or the dates or the months. But I remember
we were celebrating having gotten here to Ecuador. Like we were closing like a cycle of like, wow, like because we got here like May 30th. So I remember it was memorable.
Right. I think so if that's the case, then it's definitely end of May, start of June was when we were juggling a lot of projects together, and we were taking turns like sleeping and taking naps in between. Yeah. So that we can like finish all of the projects that we had, and managing clients, and just overall juggling a lot because we felt like we had to, and we felt like we needed to, because this was this is the time, and maybe there'll be drought. And
what is it like saying when the cow will run dry, like the cow won't have any more milk left in it?
I don't know. I know what you're saying, but I don't know the saying.
It's a saying, like at least in Latin America.
Yeah,
like,
what is it in Spanish?
Cuando la vaca like ya no tenga leche,
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I think I've heard my parents say that.
Okay.
But it makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. That was what we were going through. We were like, we have to like continue to like overwork and juice ourselves, like, because we don't know when it'll run out of juice, right?
Yeah.
So that was where we were at.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit, and we were getting a lot of like basically contact forms and people contacting us about wanting a design or wanting a logo or wanting this or wanting that, but we were just not able to take it on for a lot of reasons,
especially big red flag clients like WhatsApp messages, entrepreneurs that weren't ready.
Yeah, people just DMing us and being like
projects that we liked, but we're like they're so early.
Yeah, exactly. There were a lot of factors, from the red flags to, as you said, being too early, or they were just like, send us a quote, like we're taking like
cotizaciones,
or people pitching for this project or whatever, and we're just like, we just don't have capacity for that, and we know we're worth the money, etc., etc. So we can't help you there. So whatever. But there were a lot of factors that we just couldn't take on any more projects, but we still wanted to find a way to help people or to help small businesses or to give them advice, or we're always those type of people that are like offering feedback and just honest advice on hey, we think that you're too early, we think that you don't need a branding right now, we think that you don't need a website right now. We always giving advice, free advice anyways. So we're like, how can we make this into a thing where we can continue to share our thoughts and our expertise with people and guide people and accompany them through their journey as an entrepreneur or small business, and make it into a business. Yeah,
because we really wanted to also work with creatives, and we wanted to do like the little student like arm of things, and we didn't really understand that our niche was actually creativepreneurs. We thought like creativepreneurs was one of our tiers, which was the small business owner. But we were really focused also in crafting and curating a little bit more of like the creative, because to add on to what you're saying, I think part of the itch that we were trying to fulfill was that we were so lonely. Like we were like, how do you quote for so many projects? What is our worth? What is our pricing? I wish I had someone that could give me feedback. Like we were asking our friends for feedback on like client projects and stuff. Like we were like collaborating and meeting other illustrators and Ecuadorian illustrators and just like people and wanting to work with others, know? So we kind of wanted to fill that itch as well. And I think to connect to the need that you kind of were talking about, I think for the small business owners, we were wanting to, I think also, at least from my side, we were trying to fill the void of like just delivering a branding project, because as a studio, you just deliver a branding project and that's it. It's done. Like there's no follow-up. There's no like, okay, how will the business grow? How will you use the branding? How will, like, more than just like, how will you use the templates and designing your templates? Because whatever. It could be in the manual de marca. It doesn't mean you know how to use that shit. Like, I'm so sorry. But so we missed that, and we wanted that, and a little bit more of that human communication, because we had been in quarantine. Like we were in the middle of quarantine. We were basically seeing the sun for like limited hours of the day.
Yeah, totally. No, I agree with you. Yeah, it was the connections and the collaborations that we're so used to. That we were just like yearning for. We used to work in a team of 150 people. And like the team was big. And then you too, like even if our agencies were that big, doesn't matter. Like, and then we went to working with the two of us and living with the two of us and having a relationship with the two of us. Like it was a lot, So that's what kind of Take Through Uni was filling the itch. So I think before Take Through, it was before. Not
Take Through Uni, but that was what we were trying to fill, like the void
create.
Were like the void we found in the market as well as in ourselves that we were then trying to create a problem solve. Exactly. So the next question is, how do we even get started thinking, planning, and creating Take Through Uni? But before we go into this question, I want to read one of the letters that we didn't get to read. I believe we left it on growth, and now we're gonna actually, I think it's very good, because we're talking about saying no on boundaries, and this one is actually letter N. So letter N, no. Setting boundaries, putting yourself first, learning to say no, and caring for your well-being, happiness, and stability is key. These are such important pieces of the story of how we got here and where we want to go. We found it really hard to come to terms with saying no to projects, opportunities, and even each other. As interns, freelancers, and young creatives, we're taught to say yes to everything. Do your fair share of crap, work, pay your dues, and prove your worth to someone else before you can even get close to the quote-unquote good stuff. We are told to just wait, suck it up, and be grateful for what you already got. And that's not always the case. It took us a while to really get out of that mindset and say enough is enough, to realize that these early stages are so important for us to grow, explore, and transform our creative minds. So if something is not serving your purpose, it's okay to take a step back, say no, and know when to let it go. continues in next post.
Oh, wow. That's so fitting.
Yeah.
It's so fitting.
Exactly. Yeah. So fitting. So now tell me, how do we get started? I guess we should tell them about when we kind of everything went wrong and we pivoted, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's start.
Yeah.
That's my prompt to you.
Okay, thank you. That's a lot of little thought starters, and my mind is just going all over the place right now.
Welcome to Take the Talks.
Literally. So let me try to like catch them. So when we knew about that itch and we were like, let's do something about it, we immediately thought of Patreon, because we were aware of Patreon because one of our friends slash ex Take 3 Uni slash clients she was on Patreon. So we knew that Patreon was a platform.
What's her name? Give her a shout out.
Her name is Ashley Payne, and she is the badass independent photojournalist videographer behind Tracing Thought. So
find her on Instagram
at Tracing Thought. She's awesome.
And on YouTube, watch her documentaries. She's getting a lot of amazing things. So go listen to her. Okay.
So she was on Patreon, and we thought that could be a really good platform for us, because it was a platform that creatives can go on to basically showcase their craft or give some kind of service to other people who can become members of your platform, and they can get something in return by
support your art, basically.
To support your art by paying a small fee.
So they call them patrons.
Exactly. So Patreon have patrons for the creators. So
yeah, like the Medici and like, Van Gogh and stuff, they had patrons to like get their commissions paid, right? That's how it used to be back in the day.
I guess, yeah.
Like artists had patrons and they were like, hey, I want like a painting in my living room. I'm going to be your patron and commission you to do this. To pay you a certain fee. So that's kind of how it works, right?
It's kind of like that, yeah.
Like you pay something and you're like, okay, I get a stamp back. Like that's how it used to be, and now it's transitioning into a little bit more. So we'll get into that. I have a question about that Patreon, but continue with the process.
Yeah. So basically we're like, okay, let's set ours up. What do we need to set that up? And that's where the documents came in of all the write-ups and all the tiers and all the memberships and what we thought we could create and how we can brand the experience and have different customer profiles and different customers and audiences, etc., and all the people we could help. So we did all of that work, and then we basically put all of that into Patreon, and we like created our video, we created our all of our visuals, everything, like very, very in-depth. We have like promotional videos. We put all the work into it, right?
Yeah.
It took a lot of like work, like sleepless nights. And then when we finally launched, it literally like we got like one patron.
Which I'm like, I love you, Andrea.
I
Andrea
love you.
Tito.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. It felt really great. But after that, it was just like nothing. Like everyone was just like, it was just not being received well. And I think it's because one, Patreon is really new to the Latin American market. And also because we kind of overcomplicated it,
we didn't know what we were doing. Like this was the first time launching something.
Absolutely.
And this was before like everybody and their mother had a course, you know?
Yeah.
Like this was like back in the day when like only OG people had courses.
Yeah. But we saw a lot of people giving out courses and stuff, and we're like,
and we knew of Patreon of membership, so we didn't want to do a course, but we wanted to do a membership. But we just like said, okay, let's get emails, and then we'll just email people, and that's it. And it was like miraculous of gods that we were gonna like do it, and we had like an idea of posts we'll maybe create, and like, but it wasn't like relaunch something, and it was so complicated. We had to explain it, and it was like, who was this? And it was in English, so people got into this American like English thing, and people were like, why is there different memberships? I don't understand.
Yeah, we started realizing that this at the end of the day, this was our MVP.
Yeah.
Right? This was our minimum viable product to test out the market to see like if this was even a thing that people were interested in.
Yeah.
I think that people were interested.
That we put a fuck ton of work into that could have maybe been a little less, but
exactly. People were really interested in it. Like they were like, "Oh, this is really cool," but then
I don't get it.
It started to get a little complicated, so we needed to like really, really like take a step back And we that's what we did. We took after 2 weeks, we're like, okay, let's nothing is really like jiving. I
Yeah,
think
and
we
this was when
know.
also Andrea was working on Brand Lab,
Uh-huh.
and we were working with her together, and she had found Podia, and
Mm-hmm.
we were talking, like, we were literally working at, like, we were burning the candle at both ends, like, with her, like,
Yeah.
FaceTiming her. She was in New York and we were in Quito,
Yeah.
and we were like, okay, we can do this. And she was working on Brand Lab and putting Brand Lab on Podia as well. Or I think she wasn't, but she was going to do it after. And she was
Yeah.
like, okay, you guys test it first or something.
Uh-huh.
Or
She
I think we
introduced
launched
us
at
to
the same
Podia.
time. But she introduced us to Podia. And
Yeah.
that's when I was like, oh, okay, this is what we need to choose, because this has a membership and it sells webinars and it sells courses,
Digital products.
and now they sell digital products, and now they sell like one-on-one coaching, and they sell all of those things,
We're
like,
built
so
into one platform.
all built into one platform. And yeah, so I think Podia is really great. We use Stripe, and it was a great thing to just like be able to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still kinks to it, and there's still like people like still need a lot of hand holding and etc. But it's great to have it all in one platform, right? To
Mm-hmm.
having to like blend a bunch of stuff together.
Yeah. So absolutely. So yeah, Andrea introduced us to Podia, right? Perfectly
Literally.
timed to when we pulled back Patreon.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, we need to figure out what we need to do. And when we found Podia, we're like, this is it. This is what we need to do. We need to use this platform instead of Patreon so that we can have our own, like, tick3uni.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can automate a lot of things and simplify a lot of things instead of making it like, if you're this, or if you're an entrepreneur, or if you're a creative, or if you're a student, instead of complicating it that way, we're like, this is a one-stop shop for people who are looking for advice, who just want to pick our brains for an hour or 2 hours or whatever. And
exactly.
that's kind of where we landed. We're like, let's just simplify it, and then that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
And then that's where we landed on Take Their Uni. Take Their Uni, our space, our creative mentorship space for people to have one-on-one sessions with us, and who are people who are in need of creative advice, guidance on whatever they need help on with their business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was a work of like, okay, we need to brand ourselves, we need to find a name, we need to make it like Take Three is teaching you something. And we were like, okay, let's go with it and let's kind of like figure it out as we go.
Mm-hmm.
And we partnered with Andrea on the first Brand Lab edition, and we did a little like webinar, little meet and greet thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped us a lot. And Pili and Silvi, Maria, and a lot of people still get to know us through that partnership. So collaboration over competition always.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I love that you kind of recapitulaste or como que summarized all of the, like, a lot of the questions that I had here, and I love that. And so Take Three Uni, Take Three Uni is our creative education arm of Take Three Studio, where we focus on creative consulting. You basically buy our creative brains for a month rent, and we save an hour or 2 hours of brain creative space for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we work on strategies, creative problem solving, business things, creative things, ideation, planning, concepting,
mental health,
fixing things, finding solutions, and not panicking, and accountability. And it's a community of like-minded entrepreneurs who are mostly based in Latin America. You must speak Spanglish because that's the language, but you can feel more comfortable in Spanish since I'm fully Spanish. And I'm really excited because this is kind of where I focus and where I shine, I think, the most. Not because we're not both in the sessions, but this is like kind of like the tail of Take the Studio that I manage, and the arm of Take the Studio that I manage, and you manage the Take the Studio side of things. And I think we've both found beautiful ways of leaning towards our expertise now after 2 years of working together, and now a year into building a second business. It's been beautiful to see how we've transformed with the business and how our students have transformed with us. And yeah, so that is Take 3 Uni.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Take 3 Uni. Now that you guys are kind of up to speed with how we got here, the baby's born.
And the second baby is born.
Yes. Yeah, so tell me, what's on your mind?
No, I was gonna add to what you were saying about everything that Take 3 Uni is. It's not just like one thing. It is, at the end of the day, creative education. Like, it's like accountability, and it's letting people know that they're, even though they're solopreneurs, they're not doing it alone, and that they have two creatives and creative brains who are rooting for them and giving them advice and taking them through that journey. And I remember when we were trying to come up with like little catchy slogans or lines, we were like, like, when you have that SOS moment and you need to have your creatives on speed dial, so instead of like 911, it's like, I don't know, like 1-800 Take 3 Uni or whatever. It's like, having us on speed dial. It's having us in your back pocket when you need like just a second set of eyes, or 4 sets of eyes, whatever.
Beat me, call me when you love me.
Exactly. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
Yeah. What's the other one that we were gonna use? We should do that. I should do that for this episode promotion.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea.
El
Chapulín.
Y el Chapulín Colorado.
Ustedes
saben, han escuchado el Chapulín Colorado, han visto el Chapulín Colorado.
What was the part that says, who's
Mis
gonna help me?
antenitas de vinil. Oh, no, y ahora, ¿quién podrá defenderme?
El Chapulín.
El Chapulín Colorado. So Take 3 Uni.
Take 3 Uni.
So yeah, welcome to Take 3 Uni. Take 3 Uni is the space created for you. And if you're here, you're probably somewhat better and good already for Take 3 Uni. And I think the question that I want to talk to you about right now is, so there is this, and I posted about this on take3uni.com actually today on the community, and there is this idea now where we're going into, I guess I didn't post it, I scheduled it to post, where we're going into, everybody wants free content, but the future is paid. Right? And content creation and brand loyalty and those things are now finally creators are moving into a paid system where they actually get paid for all the work that they put into their content, their advice. I remember when you used to do on Take 3 Studio Instagram, like the captions A to B, even though it's just like a post, like there's so much that goes into a post. It takes me like recording my process and like screen capturing and designing and whatever, and I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I want to be able to just show my advice without having to create so much content that backs it to promote something, because I have to do it for free. And I guess with the side tangent that I want us to get into, because I think the people who are listening to this deserve to kind of have this conversation, is Patreon. I'm finally so happy to see that influencers and creators on Instagram are finally moving to Patreon and considering content creation as an artistry and a form of real creativity and paid creativity. Because I think before on Patreon we only thought about those deadbeat artists that were trying to make like a little living selling little illustrations, and now it's like, no, like we're not gonna get on YouTube and do another YouTube channel when I can sell YouTube videos and people can give me $5 to support my team, because it takes a village to do this content creation. And same with Diane Sanfilippo about it, like with her, like exactly, we were doing the YouTube video style behind a paywall, coupons for her shop. We were Diane Sanfilippo now moving from Instagram into Patreon because she wants to have more intimate content. Nate Tuchola talking about her Instagram, her mental health journey and depression and thoughts of suicide and all of that behind a paywall. And like Patreon is giving people, like, I'm so glad that Patreon is finally like kind of being shouted at, like, and pumped the tires, because what the creator did for us as creatives, and I think all these content creators are setting such good examples. And where I wanted to go with this is because we created Friends with Benefits, and this is something that we struggled a lot, and we continue to struggle to sell, because we don't feel like it's enough for people to pay us for the advice and the content that we post. And that's something that I was trying to alleviate with having Take Their Uni Instagram, because I'm like, okay, this is a portfolio. It's an Instagram account. It's something that's tangible. You know, I can actually sell it and send people there and whatever. And when you say to people like, pay me to give you useful content, somewhat when you say like, but pay me to give you useful content on an Instagram account, people are more willing to pay you $6 for access to that Instagram account than they are to pay us $6 to go on taketheuni.com. And I think that's what Patreon gives you, is that it gives you almost like, oh, there's this governmental, some sort of unit that controls this membership. It's not just we were creating a membership. I'm not just giving her the money. Like, it almost makes it a safer space when it's under Patreon. And we always struggle with friends with benefits and selling that, because that's technically where the idea came from. The idea came from, and I swear to you, in 3 years, that is where we're gonna show most of our lifestyle content. Like, that's where I see my brand going, and I kind of manage that side of the brand and like the interior of the brand. I swear to you, that's where I'm going to be putting like my home videos, and that's where I'm going to be putting like my private chats, and that's where we're going to be putting like if and when we get pregnant or we get engaged, or we're very private people and we don't like sharing like all of our stuff with life. And like, that's where we're going as well. You know, that's what Friends with Benefits was created to be in the future, in the long run. And with this ginormous rant that I did, I guess I wanted to open the floor and for you to tell me what's your rant on like, everyone wants free content, but the future is paid.
Okay. Thank you for that long rant. I think everything you said made sense. Like, especially when it comes down to the effort that creators put into their craft and their work, and even if it's just a single post to a YouTube vlog, there's a lot that goes into it, you know. And I think that for that time that we put into something, it's, you know, if you are interested and you think that there's value in it, then you 100% should pay for that, right? And that comes with the brand credibility and the brand equity and the brand loyalty that you have with your audience, you know.
Yeah.
So I do think that by leaning towards more of the, you know, the paid content is the future, I think that gives creators more of that incentive to create even better and more valuable content for people. Because when you work for free, at some point you get burnt out. You're like, what's the point, right? Like, you can do it for so long to build that credibility, but at the same time, when you don't get paid for something, when you don't get that first dollar, then you kind of get like defeated, and then your efforts are not going to be the same mentally, emotionally, physically, all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So I think when you do get paid for something, you feel like, okay, my time is worth this, because I'm giving someone valuable content, but I'm getting something in return. Yeah. That transaction it's functional, it's working, right?
Yeah.
And I think that in itself is going to be good, because if you're willing to pay for something and you get something back from it, then great, we're all good, right?
Yeah.
So I think that it's a good symbiotic relationship. You know,
it's
like
an ecosystem.
It's a good ecosystem, and I think that's definitely like where, you know, when people think like they have to give free content, like, yes, you can to some extent, like, you know, at some point, and at some point it needs to be towards a specific goal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's where, you know, platforms like Patreon and Podia are really good for creators to really consider
and build that community
and build that genuine community, and the intimate like relationships with all your
because someone's willing to pay you.
Yeah,
it's different. It's a different relationship.
It's different. Yeah, it's different. And I remember, you know, like a saying about, you know, where when someone pays money, they pay more attention.
Yeah.
So like that's so true. Yeah. And as creators, when someone pays us for something, we're gonna put a bigger effort into something. You know, when we get paid, we'll do the work.
Yeah.
When we don't get paid, we kind of lose that that
we don't
motivation.
put in the time because
Yeah.
you're not paying for our time, and people
Yeah.
think that as a creative you pay for everything, like the software, but no, you pay for me sitting there
Mm-hmm.
trying to come up with a logo. Yes, me sitting there is
Yeah.
what you're paying for.
Right.
Like, it's
You're
my
paying- yeah.
expertise. You're
You're
paying for
paying-
everything that comes with it.
You're getting
Like,
something
punto
from it.
final
Yeah.
de discusión, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And the next question that I have, I know, like, we're like running out of time, so I'm gonna leave some of these letter readings as like Easter eggs throughout different episodes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll always kind of have it open, and each day we'll kind of like pick a little nostalgia. Yeah, a letter a day keeps the doctor away. So this is like a final of my prompted questions before we get into some of the questions that Caro from Blot had to say. So when things go wrong in the strategy or the business, how do you recover? For example, we launched on Patreon, and that was like a little bit of a shit show. What were the memberships called? That was a little bit of a shit show. Like, had to completely rethink all of that. Why did we launch on Patreon first and then we moved to Podia? That was a little bit of a shit show. Figuring out payments and this, and it was all kind of so troublesome. And now in the future, like 2021, Take 3 Uni Instagram getting deactivated, and me kind of losing that one-on-one, like day-to-day organized safe space that I used to have on Instagram was like devastating, and I had to pivot so quickly in the middle of a selling strategy that we had to sell memberships. Like, it wasn't that I just like died in like the middle of like no time, like with like current students. Like, I was actively selling, and I was like, oh yeah, sorry, you know, the Instagram that you wanted, like, you know, it's kind of like dead.
We had strategies for it.
Exactly. So all of those things kind of have like, and I think a lot of things always go wrong, and people don't talk about all the things that go wrong. So here am I telling you all the things very high level that have gone wrong, on top of Mei June dropping the hard drive the 3 days before we had to like print Isarcia's recipe book and losing all the content and having to redo it at like the peluqueria with our best friend, and like sending things to print in like the middle of like the street and like Alausi, you know? So outside all of those other times, when things go wrong in your strategy, how do you recover? Like, can you share some of that?
Okay, well, like, you just brought me back. You just brought me down memory lane of all the bad things that happened. But like, at the end of the day, like, those things, you know, we always say things happen for a reason, and those things happen. And I was really proud of how quick we were, in terms of thinking on our feet and pivoting and problem solving on the spot, right? And I think, like, to answer your question, like, every situation is different, right? And I think that when things go wrong and how do you pivot, like, it's all situational. And I think that the most important thing is to first, like, have your 10 minutes of, or 5-10 minutes, whatever, of panic. Like, let it all out.
Don't do anything during those minutes of panic.
No, just like
drop everything.
Just literally just feel it. Just like feel the frustration, feel the anger. For me, feel the disappointment in myself of like, I cannot believe I dropped the fucking hard drive.
Imagine when we were launching TakeTheStudio.com and the code broke.
Oh my God, literally everything went wrong, right? But what happened? Yeah, exactly. Like things like that. Like right before we launched our website, July 18, 2019. The website broke. Something broke and it wasn't working, and we were like, oh my God, we're launching the day after, and like, what are we gonna do?
We had like 3 people going to see it.
But even then, looking back now, we were able to just like, okay, we panicked. We're like, fuck, shit, like, of course this would happen. Then we were like, okay, I got it out of my system. Now what do I do? How do I creatively problem solve this? Because at the end of the day, you know, we are all creatives, and we know our own business, and we know what needs to be done, and we can, as animals, we are able to find, like, we have that instinct to find what is the best solution, what is the best action to take right now, what are our options, right? And then what we did, that's what we do all the time. We're like, when this Instagram thing happened, we're like, okay, shit, we can't do anything about it. We did everything we could to try to get the account back. Now what's the next step? Okay, what is our next communication channel? We have Take Their Studio, so let's go back to our private DMs again for Take Their Uni students. Let's activate our newsletter, you know. So we had
And Claudia had just released Community.
So we had options. But okay, this makes sense. We can live with this.
It was scary. It was kind of like the universe was telling us like that this was taking too much time off our plates, and
absolutely.
was like, bitch, bye.
I think that exactly. I think to answer your question, like, there's no one way to problem solve. There's always a solution to a problem when you.
The only thing you can't solution is what?
The only thing you can't have a solution for? Death?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're alive, there's a solution for it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
So that's my answer to that.
Context, capacity, mental health first. Your own mask. Don't do shit when you're panicking, and be smart. So now super rapid fire. Your uni members learned so much from you, but what are some things you've learned from us in the process? So let's say 3 things you've learned from the Take 3 Uni process from our members, and I'll say 3 things in rapid fire style that we've learned from our Take 3 Uni members. And I can go first if you want me to go first.
Yeah, can you go first? Yeah.
Okay, so rapid fire. One thing I've learned, Reverie Society newsletters. 100%. Gracias. Number 2, and Blood also newsletters. Totally. Blood and Reverie Society newsletters. Number 2, Pili Sanchez for the podcast and all the help that I received on that. And number 3, and all the feedback she always gives me. And number 3, I would say Sylvie, Maria Tarrea, and all the students who continuously challenge me in my ways of teaching, my ways of educating, my ways of comprehending and patience, and just my opinions. The students who continuously challenge me to be better and to learn different ways of approaching their learning skills and making sure I make things that are accessible for their learning capacities and for their levels, because they're not at my level. They don't use all of my tools, and I've had to pivot and adapt constantly. And Sylvie was, I think, one of the first students that really continuously, who's still here with us, continuously challenges me to think bigger and better. And same with Pili, I would say. But
that's
those
really
are
nice.
Those are the 3 things. Just rapid fire, like off the top of my head. I'm sure there's 100.
Yeah, I'm sure there's so many different things that we've learned. But to kind of piggyback off of your number 3, I think that just off of the top of my head is that what I learned the most from Take 3 Uni members and having that experience and that relationship with them is that I've personally learned how to help people in a more better and collaborative way. You know, there's no one way of teaching something. Everyone is different depending on where they're at, and it's about meeting them. And I think that's what I learned the most. It's how to get better at helping people and get better at listening to what they need,
meeting someone when they're actually at.
And I think that's really important. And with that, my second one is the gaining confidence, right? They like having this experience of having Take 3 Uni and being their mentors and having them trust us and seeing results. It gives me the confidence that what we're doing is helpful for them, and that what we're doing gives value, and what we're doing helps us as well. You know, and it just makes me so much more confident. You know, I can compare myself to how we were giving sessions like a year ago compared to now. It's so drastically different, right? And I think that's through learning to be more confident from like having their experience and getting feedback from them, right?
And therapy, therapy.
And also therapy, you know. And I think the third one is just I think it's more of a reminder of how important connections are. You know, every student that we meet has a specialty, has an expertise, and like having that connection with them really taught me to like remind me of the importance of networking and like, you know, all the specialties that they have and how we can collaborate on projects together, and that it's not a solo journey. You know, and I really appreciate that about just having Take 3 Uni. It's that the connection and gaining confidence and learning how to meet people where they are.
Love that. So, how do you deal with the idea of growing your businesses, and do you feel pressure to grow and offer more things as your community grows? Super quickly.
Can you repeat the question again?
How do you deal with the idea of growing your businesses, and do you feel pressure to grow and offer more things as the community grows?
Yeah, personally, I'm always the type of person that's like, okay, if there's someone pays for something, I need to give something back of value. I need to make sure it's worth it. So sometimes I do have the pressure or that little like goblin or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, like on troll that's
Mm-hmm.
like, are you giving enough? Like, is this even worth the $6 or is this
Mm-hmm.
worth the $48 an
Mm-hmm.
hour? So like I do feel that pressure, but sometimes it's always internal, right?
Yeah.
So I don't feel the pressure of growing um per se, because we can only do as much as we can within our capacity, right?
Yeah.
We can't outgrow ourselves and then like all of a sudden things go out of hand and then we go back to square one where we
Yeah.
can't handle anything.
Yeah.
So I don't feel the pressure of growing. I do feel like um
You feel the pressure of satisfying.
pressure of making sure that it's worth it for everyone else.
Yeah.
And that's where we have those conversations with our students, like what else can we help you with, like, and always kind of like go above and beyond to help them. And when I know that we've done that, I'm satisfied and I know that we're doing our best and it's worth it.
And something that you said was, don't worry about making sure that the friends with benefits feel what the one-on-one people feel, because it's just so different. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can give a friends with benefits what I can versus what I can give a one-on-one student.
Right.
So don't try and compare your offerings
Yeah.
like to each other, because they don't serve the same client and they don't get paid the same thing. So don't outgrow yourself just for the sakes of growing,
Mm-hmm.
and don't compare your offerings just for the sakes of like, are they other people happy, because they pay for something different, they can only afford something, and you're giving them enough. If you are doing your best and you're not slacking and you're actually putting in a little bit of like, whether that's one email or one video, or whether that's sending them a DM and creating like a group homework and making them feel like they're part of a community and having live Q&As, like
Exactly.
that's what makes, I think, this year we focus solely on caressing and nurturing the community that we already have instead of growing it.
Mm-hmm.
And people sometimes forget about nurturing the community you already have
100%.
because they're always wanting to grow the community.
Yep.
And number 3 is, how do you believe in your vision when you're creating something different in the market? Because imposter syndrome is killer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, for example, just to quickly like give an answer to that, believing in your vision is something that comes with taking yourself seriously and writing shit down. Because I don't think believing in your vision is something that you can just like train. I think it comes with tools that you set yourself, you know, like you have couples therapies, you have financial meetings, you have feedback with your students, you have feedback with your clients, you have, you're seeing if the wheels are, like our therapist says, like you kind of put the WD-40 and you like, the hinges fucking work. Like, you know, if you're putting in that WD-40, then then you get to believe in your vision, because you're putting in the work towards that vision. It's not just a vision that you put in your wall and suddenly like a couch falls in my lap because I visioned it.
I think,
like I work for it, I think. So that's kind of how I like, how do you believe in yourself, and how do you contrast imposter syndrome is by doing stuff.
I agree with
and
you,
learning things.
Thanks for sharing that. I think my take on that is that, you know, back to the, when you believe in what you're doing and you know that there's a need for this and you've done the research, you put in the effort, and you are confident with what you are doing to solve this problem,
and you're not getting in debt for it.
And what value you're giving to this person, and you believe that wholeheartedly, and you're passionate about it as well,
and you're willing to do it for free for a little bit,
all that good stuff, and you really just overall, you know that what you're doing is good for someone else, whether it's, you know, a small target or a big target. Like I think that's how you can believe in what you're doing, is when you put in the effort and you've tested it, you've tried it, and you hear the squeaks to the wheels, and then you, as Steffi said, put the WD-40 on it, and then you know that what that WD-40, which is the work you're putting in, helps with
Yeah.
getting rid of that squeak here and there, and then like you keep adapting and keep changing and you keep learning and you keep reworking, and but it's towards something that's beneficial, then I think that's how you can like continue to believe in your vision.
And you work on your mental health.
100%.
Imposter syndrome can only be solved by mental health work. So yeah, thank you so much for coming to this episode. Like, honestly, I hope that this was like a good, meaty, entertaining episode where we took you down nostalgia lane and we showed you a little bit of our brain process, and we showed you and we helped you understand a little bit of Take 3 Uni and our services and just a little bit of what we do. The point of this podcast was to really do this and bring you guys along the ride.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I love that. And so thank you for having me. And I think I would love for you to, again, to end, like explain and tell people what Take 3 Uni is again, so that people would know, and where can they find us and how can they find more information.
Yeah, okay. Amazing. So thank you for coming and thank you for being my co-host. And for all of you that you're here, remember that Take 3 Uni is our membership program. It's one-on-one creative consulting. We do only have 5 spots left on our one-on-one creative consulting. We also have another tier, which is our Friends with Benefits tier. But overall, I want to tell you that Take 3 Uni is a space where you hire Major and I for 1 or 2 hours to give you our creative brains. We give you space and we give you our advice and guidance and tips, and we really go in 100% into your business, into your dreams, and how can we help you? How would we do it ourselves? And what are some of those guidances? Take 3 Uni is not for the people who want us to do it for you. It's a place where you really come and do the work, accompanied, not alone, with a community and like-minded humans. If you're still not sure of what the hell I'm even talking about, you can go into take3uni.com. You can go into take3uni.com/testimonials. There's a lot of videos there. It's a very long page of a lot of different people who gave us testimonials of different lengths, from 1 minute to 14 minutes actually, and you can learn more about it. You can also DM us on Take 3 Studio, and you can be like, hey, can I know more about Take 3 Uni? And I'll be more than helpful to respond with a voice note and telling you a little bit more about it. And if you really, really want, and you want that guidance and that accompaniment and those one-on-one creative sessions, I urge you to book a discovery call on take3studio.com/discovery. You can also go into our link in bio on Instagram and schedule that call. It's 20 minutes of us just giving you advice, getting to meet, seeing the vibe is there, and seeing if Take 3 Uni is right for you, and if you are right for us, and if we are right for you. So thank you for coming to this episode. Thank you for letting our dreams be here, and thank you for being an amazing, awesome Take 3 Talks community. I love you guys so much. I am thankful I get to do this, and this is the longest episode we've recorded to date. So thank you for being here. I love you, and now I'm running out to a meeting. Bye,
Amazing.
friends.
Thank you for everything, Steffi.
Bye, friends.
Bye.